Hi, I'm Tom, you're watching Sony 365, and before I give you my verdict on the One Mark III, I have to tell you this true story that's actually happened to me because of the Xperia One Mark III. You see, when you have tech like this, the alpha-inspired camera tech that encourages you to learn more about photography, really get into the nitty-gritty of the actual pro settings there. If you really want to get out there and use it, and you have to do that if you own a phone like this, you go out like I did, taking photographs. I was photographing some London landmarks one evening, and of course, to pro photographers, this is an absolutely intriguing device because a lot of even alpha, professional photographers aren't familiar with the new Xperia lineup, or perhaps any Xperia phone for that matter. Now, this is what happened to me. I was out taking photographs one evening. A pro photographer using an alpha camera happened to be right next to me with his tripod, and we just hit it off. We started talking. I showed him the Xperia One Mark III. He was really into it. I saw the work that he did, which was just incredible. And well, it turns out he is the world's #1 time slicer. He's a big Sony fan, a big Alpha fan, actually a big PlayStation fan as well, but let's not get into that right now. And he agreed to take me out one evening and show me the art of time slicing, how it's done properly, and to see if the Xperia One Mark III could handle it, because it's a really proper test for any camera, never mind camera tech built into a phone. And so that's what we did. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you the time slice that we came up with. Now, his name is Matt Keneally. He's a great guy, he's a Sony guy. Sony, if you're watching this, he's ambassador material. I'm serious. He is that good, and he's extraordinarily, really good chap. So everyone watching this, I encourage you enormously to check out his Instagram profile, Matt_Keneally. I'll put that in the link below, and I'll mention it again at the end when we show you the picture that we came up with. I think you're going to love it. In the meantime, let's get into this video right now. Specifically, I want to kick things off with all of the very worst things about the Xperia One Mark III. The first thing I want to say is what's not great about this? The launch. The launch has been pretty bad, and I have to say that's not the first time, is it, with Sony, when it comes to Xperia launches in particular. We were told early summer it's been a difficult year with COVID. We've got the semiconductor problem as well, all sorts of problems. That said, this is not the first time it's happened, so I was a bit dismayed, and I know a lot of you have been in the comments as well, that it's taken so many months to get the One Mark III, and even more so for the 5 Mark III out there. This must never ever happen again. But anyway, we are where we are. Thankfully, the pre-orders seem to have been very strong all around the world. It's difficult to get hold of them, especially in purple now. But those deals there with the headphones and earphones, depending on your region, fantastic. Anyway, we're doing negative points. So the launch. The second thing is, it still irks me that we don't have that full Sony ecosystem that you would get if you were a Samsung or an Apple fan. Sure, I've got the Wena 3 here, and it's very cool, but it's Japanese only. We don't know yet if it's going to be released internationally. And that's a downer. I want to see Sony back in the tablet space. I want to see wearables. I want to know what's going on there. If Sony can, surprise everyone with a fully developed electric car, we know they can do this. We know they can do this. So I would love some good news there too. And of course, Samsung also has things like Samsung DeX, which again, very cool. I want to see more outside of just the phone. What else have we got here? I love the fact we have this world-first technology, but again, the screen brightness is what's pulling that back. We keep hearing it from a number of YouTubers, myself included. It's not ideal. Is it as bad as has been made out? No, and I'll tell you why. It is significantly brighter than the One Mark II. It's not as bright as the S21 Ultra. It doesn't need to be that bright in my opinion, but it should be brighter than it currently is. I also wish that Sony would tell us how bright it is, give us the actual information in nits, and be upfront and open about it. Why not? So let's have that be brighter, for no other reason than we can stop talking about it, which would be terrific. I also think we should have more information on updates, because there's been ambiguity, and whenever there's ambiguity, some people run with it, and it creates real problems. So I want to know exactly what the plan is for updates. It seems to me, looking at previous flagships and my own conversations with Sony, that we're on track for the usual thing with Sony flagships, about 3 years of support, extra, the 2 upgrades from where you start off. That's not bad, but don't forget, Samsung was in terrible shape not that long ago with their updates. They were awful, and now they're pretty much the best. They've overtaken even Google with their Android updates. So we know it can be done. I want to see Sony being the champion of updates and upgrades in terms of the OS, and transparency in terms of sharing that information with us, the end users. The other thing, of course, is accessories are very thin on the ground. There aren't many of them. Some of the ones that exist, they feel a little bit like an afterthought. They don't seem as well developed perhaps as the Samsung ones. That's unfortunate, and it is something to be aware of. And of course the big one here is that if you live in a country like India, Bangladesh, all of Africa, Latin America, it's just so hard to get hold of these devices. You have to import them, and there are risks there in terms of the warranty and whether the bands are going to be good enough to handle 4G and 5G in your area and so on. So I do think hopefully we are close to Sony going worldwide again with Xperia phones, but they are all negatives that you need to be aware of before you go ahead and buy this device. Do I think you should go ahead and buy this device? Absolutely, for these reasons. So let's talk about the display. I love this 4K 120Hz display. Now, a lot of people have said it would be really good to have the ability to drop down from the 4K resolution to save battery. I'm not too worried about that because I feel the battery is good enough to get through a day of normal use. You can always drop down the refresh rate from 120 Hertz to 60, which is great. I mean, and that does help a little bit in terms of saving battery. You're going to get 5 hours plus anyway. For me, that's acceptable. It's absolutely fine. And you've always got stamina mode. We know what we're doing. I think we know what we're dealing with here. Would I prefer to have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery? Yeah, I would actually. But right now, I'm happy with it. It's good enough, it does the job. But that display, as long as you're not outdoors on a really, really bright day, where it does hold its own, but only just, as long as you're, in decent lighting conditions, there is nothing close to it, nothing close. Same is true of the speakers, absolutely superb. I don't care about 360, reality audio at all. It's a novelty thing. You do it once, if you're like me, and then you just forget about it. But in general terms though, the speakers with dual front-facing stereo, as good as it gets. Again, with the, for the music lovers there, LDAC, all of that stuff, it goes on and on and on, the good news. If you're into your music, if you're into watching content, this is the best in my opinion. It's great for multitasking, it's great for the serious users, and it's unique. That 21:9 form factor, super minimalist design, very stealth. I much prefer the new finish on the One Mark III. If you've seen my previous One Mark III videos, you'll know that. I love the fact that the fingerprint scanner is so fast and accurate, and it has that matte finish now like the rest of the phone. Very cool. Couldn't care less about the Google Assistant button, but then I've never hit it accidentally, so I forget it's there. The overall package is absolutely sound as a pound. Very cool. I think Sony's done a terrific job, and this is a really good upgrade for those coming from an Xperia 1 or earlier device. It feels like, I'm going to get into this more in a future video, actually very soon. It feels like Sony's gone way further with the 1 series, if we can call it that, than they have done with the 5 series this year. This is a big leap. It's a really useful leap, and this is the phone for people who are super serious about getting the best content viewing experience on the go. They want all that flexibility of the expandable storage, the headphone jack, the notification light. They want to use those fantastic stereo front-facing speakers. Yeah, this has got a huge amount to recommend it, and the fact that it doesn't cost more than similar flagships that don't have any of those features, I think is a real boon, especially if you pick it up with the free headphones. So all in all, I think Sony's nailed it with this one. It's not for everyone, Sony knows that. This is, as many people have gone on and on about, a niche product. But the niche, okay, for people who love their content, love their music, want something unique, okay, maybe that's my niche. In fact, I can tell you right now, officially, it is my niche. I'm part of that niche. I suspect if you're watching this, you may well be. But without any shadow of a doubt, I recommend this device. It's an absolute winner. I'm not quite as hot on the 5 Mark III. I'm going to come on to that in my next video, which is going to be hopefully the day after tomorrow. I like it very much, but anyway, that's the next video. So let's get back to this time slice here of the Shard on the 1 Mark III with Matt Keneally. By the way, again, follow him on Instagram, Matt_Keneally, and follow Sony 365 official on Instagram as well, because we're going to completely change what we do there and make it, well, much better, frankly. The phone coped extremely well. This is the image we came up with. It was a huge amount of fun, and I'm actually inviting Matt. He doesn't know this yet. I will tell him. I'm inviting Matt to be the first ever guest on the Sony 365 podcast, which will be starting in November when we're finally in the new studio, and I won't be doing videos in this kind of weird nuclear bunker with weird lights. So do stay tuned for that. I'm just going to finish by summing up what the 1 Mark III is, and thank you to all of those people who watched to the end. I'm really grateful, and I hope you find this video useful, obviously. So for me, the 1 Mark III is a concept phone, in the sense you have that world first technology. Telephoto, dual PD, yeah, cool. But what's really cool is the 4K 120Hz display in that 21:9 form factor. It does feel futuristic. It is mind-blowingly good. To have that is fantastic. It is genuinely impressive, really impressive. But normally when you get those kind of futuristic style concept type features, you have to make big sacrifices in terms of how easy the device is to live with. But you don't, because you get that sort of traditional tech almost with the notification light, the expandable storage, the headphone jack. So you have this incredibly easy to live with phone that also feels like a concept device. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. There's nothing else like it on the market. But to have all of that from Sony, knowing that you don't have to worry about, you know, things like the child labor there at the Xperia factory. This is made in Thailand, by the way. I love the fact that we don't have to worry about that. It makes it a more ethical choice for those of us who care about that. Some people say, why does the Xperia device cost more? Well, actually it's on a par with similar devices from other manufacturers, but you do have that additional ethical dimension, and I love that. So there you go. It's the right choice for those people who want the absolute best in terms of display. They're really into their content, they're really into their music, they're really passionate about those things, and they want a stealth, minimalist, very slick looking, unique device. That's my summary. I'm not as hot about the 5 Mark III as I am about the 1 Mark III, and you'll see in my next video why. Because the next video is the 5 Mark III verdict. So I'll see you hopefully in that one. In the meantime, again, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.